I'm Mel,
And I'm Jannelle,
and this is the Murder Mamas.
the Murder Mamas.
Welcome.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good.
I'm okay, actually. Terrible allergies.
Yes.
Because everything's covered in pollen.
Everything is covered.
So,
Everything. Every morning my car is yellow.
that nice yellow dusting of living in a Dr. Seuss movie.
Yeah.
It's great.
It is awesome.
You know, for everything but my sinuses.
Yeah.
And my kids' sinuses and everyone's sinuses, I think.
Yep.
And unfortunately for me, I have to talk a lot tonight.
Yes, you do.
So I'm doing my first serial killer.
Good.
Are you excited?
I am excited.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
And nervous and scared.
Yeah.
And ready?
Fine. Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay.
All right.
We are talking about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ooh. Yes.
I mean, I'm sure you know about Jeffrey Dahmer. Who
I do.
Does not know about Jeffrey Dahmer.
I haven't read up on him in a while, so
a nice little refresher.
It will be a refresher for me.
So Jeffrey Dahmer is a real fucked up dude who did a lot of fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
And this is gonna be probably two parts. Well, it's definitely gonna be two parts.
Yeah.
Possibly a third.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to format it so it's not three.
Okay. Well, we'll see.
But it's definitely gonna be two. Tonight, I'm just gonna talk about his, growing up, his background, and the first 6 murders. So he did a total of 17.
Oh, jeez.
There's, speculation about an 18th, which I'll talk about way at the end.
Okay.
But, yeah, so there's a lot.
That is a lot.
A lot, and he was very, ritualistic almost, so, there's a lot to talk about for each one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So, yeah, with that, we're just gonna jump right in.
All right.
Jeffery Loinel Dahmer was born on May 21st. Is that a Gemini?
I don't know.
Or a Taurus?
I have no idea.
I think it's a Gemini. Okay. In 1960, in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, he was the oldest child of Lionel and Joyce Dahmer. As a child, Jeffrey seemed to have a normal childhood, though his family did move quite a few times looking for the right place to settle down. When Jeffrey was 2, the Dahmers moved to Iowa so Lionel, his father, could pursue his PhD in chemistry.
Huh.
Jeffrey had surgery for a double, groin hernia.
Oh.
I can't remember, the medical term.
Yeah.
When he was 4.
Wow.
And, while many children have surgeries, Lionel states that after this surgery, Jeffrey began to, withdraw.
Yeah.
But, I don't know if that's just looking back and trying to put
He
a
could have
blame.
just been, ready to withdraw anyway.
Yeah, or, it's just the coincidence of, your natural personality development.
Right.
As a child.
Yeah.
When Jeffrey was 6, his family moved several times within the span of, a year, and his younger brother was born. So, a ton of different, changes.
Yeah, that's a lot.
A lot, right?
Yeah.
And during this transitional period for him, it was noted by his first grade teacher that Jeffrey was feeling neglected. So, tons of kids feel neglected when a new baby comes.
Right.
And, disrupts everything.
Yeah.
But this is kind of a theme for him for the rest of his life, is feeling, neglected and disconnected from people.
Okay. So I wonder if he never got that connection when he was a baby, an infant,
Yeah, and there's some stuff about, his mom having some mental health issues and, not being, the most stable. And then Lionel was doing his PhD and, working as, a research scientist for a long time. So
I'm sure that took up a lot of time.
I mean, I'm sure it did. But I think, hard kids are hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's true.
You have kids.
I have kids.
Not that yours are him or mine are him, but
yeah,
it's just
yeah.
It is. I don't know how to further elaborate without sounding really mean. Yeah, and he had a lot of, like, strange interest as a child, so, like, difficult to connect with for his peers and his family, which we'll also get into a little bit later.
Okay.
Lionel, his father, says that Jeffrey was extremely shy and almost fearful of new people during this time, too. In 1968, so when he was 8 years old, the Dahmer family moved to Bath, Ohio, where Jeffrey would live for the remainder of his childhood and into his late teens. So this is, like, where he lived until he graduated high school.
Oh, good. So at least there's a little stability there.
So there's stability in the location, but, like, the family life while his parents are still married, it's said that it's, like, super tumultuous. Like, there's a ton of fighting and again, like, the mental health issues.
Yeah.
And he just always felt, like, disconnected from people.
Yeah.
Like, he never fit in. He never had, like, a friend group or anything.
Right.
Jeffrey was said to have exhibited some concerning behavior and animal cruelty tendencies while growing up, like a lot of serial killers. Yeah. Jeffrey seemed to have, like, a morbid curiosity and almost obsession with dead animals. He and his dad, who again was a scientist and a chemist, would bleach the bones of dead rodents until, like, they would remove all of the ligaments and fur and everything off of them with, like, bleach, basically, until only the bones remained, which is important later for his crimes.
Okay.
And then Jeffrey would carry around a pail of bones that his family affectionately called his fiddlesticks.
Fiddlesticks.
Yeah. So, like, that's not, to me, that's, like, not normal behavior, but I can see his dad being a scientist and, like, wanting to connect.
Yes. I can see, like, that. Yes, because his dad was a scientist. It doesn't seem
crazy to, like, look at things and be like, well, everything is made out of this material and, like, this is what you do and, like, these are bones and anatomy and, like, all of that. Like,
makes
that's
sense.
not crazy to do.
No.
But I feel like carrying around a pail of bones and calling it fiddlesticks is, like, to me, crossing a line where it's, like, not scientific and that's, like...
Yeah, that's a bit much.
Super weird to me. Jeffrey was said to have mutilated and put the head of a dog on a stake in the forest behind his home. So he would just, like, take roadkill and, like, do weird stuff with the dead roadkill. Like, just had this, like, weird obsession with dead things. Dead people, dead bodies, dead everything. Even at this young age, like, having any sort of regard for a living being was pretty much, like, absent from his personality and who he was.
Yeah.
He said that Jeffrey says that he began to develop his sexual fantasies of killing and having sex with men at the age of 13 or 14 years old. So, like, as he was hitting puberty, he started to, like, he knew that he was gay.
Yeah.
And then immediately was like, I want full control over someone. I want to kill them.
Wow.
Which is, like, a huge leap.
That is a huge leap.
So he says that at 13, and he talks a ton. So, like, this is paraphrased, but, like, he had, like, a 256-page confession to his crimes.
Oh, wow.
Like, hours upon hours upon hours of tape. He talked to psychologists because he tried to plead, like, insane.
Yeah.
So he did, like, a full psychology workup, and, like, a lot of this stuff comes from his conversations with psychologists. Okay. Like, those excerpts.
Yeah.
This story comes from that, too. So he says that at 13, he became so obsessed with a male jogger that he waited in a bush with a baseball bat to commit his first murder.
Oh.
At 13 years old.
Oh.
The jogger did not go out jogging that day, and Jeffrey moved on.
Oh, God. Thank God.
And was able to, like, suppress that urge.
Wow.
For a few more years.
At 13.
At 13.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's my son's age.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
Yeah. It's crazy because he gets arrested at 31. And I'm like, I'm 31. Yeah. For some reason, I always thought he was, like, an old man.
Right.
But looking back at it now and, like, doing so much research and reading so much about him, I'm like, you're only 30?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whoa, man.
You started early.
Whoa. So he actually has, like, a huge gap from his first one to his second one, which I'm obviously going to get to.
Yeah.
But, there's like a huge waiting period. Yeah. In the late 70s, Jeffrey was known at school for being a misfit and doing strange pranks, which is very similar to one of our other serial killers that you talked about, Arthur Shawcross.
Yeah.
He was regarded the same way by the kids at school. It was also at this time when Jeffrey began to drink heavily. And that continues for...
At 13 still? Are we still at 13?
So we're in the late 70s, so like 15, 16, 17 range. But he continued, like that, the alcoholism is like a theme for the rest of his life. He didn't have any sort of meaningful connections with schoolmates or his family. So, like...
That's so sad.
I mean, it is sad, but also, like, he was super weird.
Yeah.
And carried around a pail of of bones.
Yeah, that's true.
So, like,
you
know...
Yeah.
Maybe don't do that, and then you will have, like, people who want to be your friend.
Yeah. I guess so.
Like, there's,
true.
Like, and, like, don't mutilate dogs.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot there.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad when, like, there's abuse and then the person becomes a serial killer. Like, I feel bad for the child then, but, like, I don't feel bad for child Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
I
You're right.
truly don't.
You're right.
Thank you. I love when people say that to me. Nothing sounds better than you're right. His family life was further deteriorating as his alcohol was ramping up. So it's like, family life's getting worse. He just keeps drinking more. So, like, obviously he's drinking to, like, escape those feelings. And probably because it's the 70s and he knows he's gay.
Yeah.
Not the best time for that.
No.
His mother and father had fought, like, most of his childhood. And his mom had mental health issues. And had made a suicide attempt and had to be hospitalized a few times for her mental health issues. His home life left him wanting to connect and feeling really isolated.
Yeah.
So he's feeling isolated from that, then he's feeling isolated from school, and it's just like everywhere he goes, there's nowhere where Jeffrey can, like, see anyone eye to eye, but it's because Jeffrey
it's a little weird.
Is a fucked up dude. In June of 1978, at 18, he graduates from high school, and a few days later, he committed his first murder.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
At this time, his parents are divorcing, and he's living at their home alone. So, like, it's his family home, but his mom's living at a hotel with his younger brother, and his dad's living somewhere else.
Okay.
Not sure where.
That's weird.
Like, maybe an apartment or something. Like,
right.
They just weren't staying at the home.
Yeah.
Which I find
You'd
strange.
think one of them would stay at the home.
Yeah, and not leave your 18-year-old at the home.
Right? That's really weird.
On June 18th, 1978, Jeffrey picked up his first victim. His name was Stephen Mark Hicks, and he was 19 years old, and he was hitchhiking. Jeffrey says that this murder was not planned, but he had long fantasized about picking up a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
So it was like he didn't go looking, but he didn't stop the urge when it...
Stop the opportunity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Jeffrey and Stephen went back to his house where they drank some beers and had sex. After some time hanging out, Stephen said that he wanted to leave. And at that point, Jeffrey beat Stephen with a barbell and strangled him.
Oh.
So he was, like, totally normal, fine, not acting weird at all. And then the guy's like, hey, I think I'm done here. Like, I'm going to go back to hitchhiking.
Yeah.
And Jeffrey's like, don't fucking leave me. I have abandonment issues. I'm going to kill you.
Wow.
Which is like, okay.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah. He then stripped Stephen's flesh from his bones and pulverized some of the bones and scattered the remains in the forest where he had mutilated animals growing up.
Oh, good.
Yeah, like lots of symbolism there, doing his first murder and dropping everything there. And Jeffrey...
For his first murder.
First one. Jeffrey says that his motivation for this murder was because he did not want Steve to leave.
Okay.
Like...
Well, he's gone now.
Yeah, like... Now he's gone forever.
Yeah.
Like, really weird way to communicate your feelings. He was stationed in Germany as a medic. His heavy drinking continued during his time in the army.
Yeah.
Jeffrey was known within the army as like a violent drunk, so it wasn't a good sort of reputation he got from his drinking.
Yeah.
And his alcoholism led to him being discharged from the army early. After his discharge, he spent some time in Florida before returning home to Ohio. So he was like living on the beach, basically as like a homeless person in Florida.
Beach bum?
Yep. For a little while. By this time, though, Lionel had remarried. So Jeffrey was living with Lionel and his stepmother in Ohio when he returned home.
Okay.
He was arrested a few times for just like random things like disorderly conduct, drunk and disorderly, like things like that, but nothing like serious.
Right.
Lionel tried, seems like his dad really loved him, you know?
Yeah.
Like he took him back in, he tried to wean him off of alcohol and it didn't work. And so he urged Jeffrey to move back to Wisconsin, like the Milwaukee area, to live with his grandmother.
Okay.
It's noted by a few people that it's one of the only relationships where Jeffrey showed any sort of like affection.
Okay.
Was with his grandmother.
Was with grandma.
So over the next few years, he's arrested just like a few more times for, again, like those minor crimes, indecent exposure, disorderly conduct, more. But he didn't serve any time in jail for any of them. His living arrangement with his grandma was originally like really good. He would help with bills when he could, when he was working. Yeah. And then he would like do chores, went to church with her. Like,
oh, wow.
Everything's good. Like, he's still drinking though.
Oh.
So he's still doing that, but everything else is seeming like he's making steps to be like a functioning member of society.
Yeah.
And then it all sort of goes to shit.
Goes to shit.
Yeah. So Jeffrey gets fired from his job as like a phlebotomist, which I read something later that said that he said that he drank a vial of blood while he was working as a phlebotomist just to see what it would taste like.
Oh, that's so gross. Oh.
Then he was unemployed for 2 years and he was living off of money that his grandmother would give him. Just like whatever she would give him was what he lived off of.
Okay.
So that's sort of like their living arrangement.
Yeah.
Gets more tense.
Yeah. I would say so.
In January of 1985, Jeffrey began working as a chocolate mixer at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory. He would keep this job until just a few weeks before his arrest. So he worked there for...
I wonder if you stick your finger in there as you're mixing the chocolate. No.
I mean, we'll get here later in the story, but he brings body parts of people to work.
Oh. Yeah. And puts them in the chocolate?
No, he doesn't. He leaves them in his work locker.
Oh.
We'll get there when we talk about that specific victim.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is like, he kept this job. So keep this in mind that he's working the entire time for the rest of the story that I tell you.
Okay.
He's working nights at the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory as a mixer. He works 6 nights a week, but has Saturday nights off.
Okay.
That's his schedule.
Wow. Okay.
And it helps him to get like the sedatives that he uses later on.
Yeah.
So by 1985 and into 1986, Jeffrey is starting to explore his sexual fantasies. He's visiting gay bars, bathhouses, bookstores, like all in the Milwaukee area. So he's trying to like talk to gay men and like have gay sex, basically.
Yeah.
He is said to have stolen a mannequin, like a male mannequin at this time.
Okay.
And he used it for sexual satisfaction until his grandma found it and she had him dispose of it.
Huh.
So, like...
How does one...
Not sure. Didn't get, like, a diagram of what he did with it. But it's, like, really... To me, it's, like, looking at everything.
Yeah.
It's, like, kind of telling. Because it can't move, can't talk,
Oh,
and he can
yeah.
completely control it. The only
Yep.
problem is it's plastic,
Yeah.
which is like his thing. He
Yeah.
wants full control.
Full control.
And it was also during this time period he was having sex with men at the bathhouses, but he would regularly complain that they moved too much and he wanted full control over them.
Oh, jeez. Wait, a bathhouse?
Yeah.
This is in the 80s?
Yeah, 85 and 86.
I didn't realize they still had bathhouses.
I feel like there's all
There's
kinds of
still-
like underground weird things
Yeah.
that like no one
That's
knows
true.
about, like, you know, like swingers clubs and like sex clubs and
Yeah,
all kinds of stuff that just like goes under the radar.
that's true.
You know, or like the massage places that are open at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
and you're like, that's it's not just for massages.
That's not when mom goes to get a massage.
Yeah. You know, like just like that seedy, not I don't even
Yeah.
want to use the word seedy, but just like
Yeah.
that sort of like underbelly of society that just goes
Yeah.
like
Unseen.
unseen. Exactly. So there's probably bathhouses. I'm sure we could Google and find a bathhouse
I guess.
around us.
Yeah.
Are you going to?
It's going to show up on my Facebook feed.
I wonder how many targeted ads you'll get about bathhouses from here. Well, and I feel like I'm gonna be put on a list after all the things I've Googled
Yeah.
in relation to how Jeffrey Dahmer committed murders.
Yep. It says bathhouses near me. And they've got them.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah. Top 10 in Houston.
But like not like a
It's probably not like a
Like a
it
sex
was.
club.
No. Well, it just says one of them says Club Houston, another one says Star Bathhouse, and another one says Korean Foot Spa. So
okay.
yeah.
So because he's complaining that like people are moving, he started working on drugging people in order to like have sex with them
Yeah.
at the bathhouses, and he would wait for them to fall asleep before he would have sex, like begin having sex with them. This one particular bathhouse received like 12 complaints of him drugging people
Wow.
with sedatives. So he's like working on getting the correct dosing,
Right.
it seems like.
Yeah.
And one person is actually hospitalized but does not die. So no one dies
Okay.
from that, but he does get banned
Okay.
from the bathhouse and gets his membership revoked. So apparently you have to be a member.
Okay.
But no sort of like criminal charges are filed at all.
Okay.
And he just continues the behavior but he takes people back to hotel rooms
Mm-hmm.
instead of his grandma's house
Oh.
at this time.
Oh, good. Leave grandma out of it.
Well, not for long. In September of 1986, he's arrested for exposing himself to children. He claimed he was urinating,
Oh, good.
but he was masturbating in front of two 12-year-old boys
Oh, good.
on like a river somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
The charge was changed to another disorderly conduct charge, and he was sentenced to a year probation and urged to get counseling.
Urged.
Yeah, that was it. I think there's like, you're seeing sort of the pattern
Yeah.
of what he's doing being laid here. You know, like he's learning about the dosing, he's finding that his fantasies can become like more of a reality.
Right.
He's getting more explicit, having a harder time controlling his urges, and he states that during this time he was he had trained himself to view people as objects of pleasure instead of people.
Yeah.
So
You would have to do that.
on September 15th, 1987, Jeffrey commits his second murder. He took his second victim, Stephen Tuomi, Tuomi, Tuomi,
Sure.
age.
I don't know how to pronounce names.
Sure. I always just try to do phonetically,
I do too, but it doesn't work out with me.
but then I
sometimes.
don't know how to hooked on phonics a UO sound.
Yeah.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So he takes Stephen. I'm just gonna say. I'm gonna pull you.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay Steven. What if it's Stefan?
Stefan.
Stefan? No. Steven to a hotel room after a night out at a bar. Jeffrey claims that this murder, again, so like with his first murder, he had no intention of killing him, Steven, at this time.
Okay.
He states that he was just going to drug him like he had done at the bathhouses and explore his body.
Explore his body.
I don't know if that means rape.
Yes.
But he uses the word explore.
Explore. Well, then yes, that's rape.
He then claims that he woke up next to a dead Steven with no memory of the killing. So it claims he was like too drunk and blacked out.
Right.
Jeffrey says that Steven's chest was crushed in and he was black and blue with bruises. He also says that he had some bruises, like on his arms, but that he has no memory. So I read somewhere, I think on Murderpedia, that maybe the no memory thing is like legit, but also maybe he sort of blocked it out because like he's not good at killing people yet.
Right.
So like he just was like, nope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Well, if he's that big of an alcoholic too, I could see the blackout.
I could too. But, I don't know. Like, do you think he had any intention of killing him?
I don't know. If he didn't have any intention of killing all those people at the bathhouse, he was just drugging them.
But I feel like the people at the bathhouses is, like, giving him fuel, you know? Like, it's getting him closer because, like, his ultimate fantasy since he was a kid has been to kill people.
Yeah.
And have sex with them.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like that was, like, his ultimate fantasy on, like, easy mode, you know? And
right.
now he's,
That's
like,
true.
Just sort of, like, leveling up and leveling up and leveling up.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know if he had no intention, but...
Yeah, that's hard to say.
I don't know. Well, and also we're just believing him and what he's saying, because no one else was there.
No.
And can talk about it.
Yeah.
In order to dispose of the body, Jeffrey goes to the mall, buys a large suitcase, and brings it back to the hotel, shoves Steven inside of it, and moves the body from the hotel to his grandma's house.
Oh. Again, leave grandma out of it.
Over the next week, he has the dead body in like a basement-y cellar type thing at grandma's house.
Okay.
And he dismembers it. He removes the arms, legs, head. He cuts pieces of flesh, like from the bones, and would place it in big trash bags.
Okay. And
then throw it in the garbage can.
Cool.
You know, for regular trash pickup.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm assuming that's sarcasm.
Yes.
Neato. Yeah, like... It's just the sheer disregard for any sort of human life.
Yeah.
You know, like that's a person. That's a person with like a family. And you're just gonna
take them apart, literally.
Yeah, take them apart and put them in the garbage.
Yeah.
Like trash.
Trash.
He threw it in the garbage can. He would masturbate over the dead body. So he's, again, like leveling up.
Escalating.
Yeah. But did not participate in necrophilia, so he hasn't taken that step. But it's like just one more step, one more step, one more step. Much like his first victim, he took the bones and used a sledgehammer to pulverize them, which is like crazy to me. It said like he wrapped the bones in like a towel, and then would just like sledgehammer them. Okay. The whole process of dismembering and doing all that with the bones took him 2 hours. Which seems kind of fast.
Yeah, it does seem fast.
I don't know. Maybe just, I don't know.
Practice from when he was younger with his dad.
Well, that also comes in like 1 second. Because he keeps his head. He keeps Steven's head. And he kept it wrapped in a towel for 2 weeks at the house.
Oh, good.
And then he boils it.
Oh.
To remove the skin.
Okay.
And then he uses the skull for sexual pleasure before it becomes too brittle, and he pulverizes it and throws it away like the rest of the bones.
Wow. I feel like skull fucking wouldn't feel good on your penis.
I was not expecting you to say that. even going there because it's disgusting and because I don't have a penis. So I don't know what things feel good or do not feel good on a penis. I cannot speak for men.
No, I don't either. But
what may or may not feel good. And I don't think Jeffrey Dahmer is the pinnacle of man to ask about what is pleasurable. So I hate that comment. Lots of finger wagging. Mel,
she's waving her finger at me.
I am. You've done it. You have taken it one step too far this time, ma'am. I am done. And also laughing.
Yes.
Because how was that your question?
Inquiring minds want to know.
The curiosity from you is, wow. So, after this murder, it sort of like uncorks him, Jeffrey, and he is no longer able to suppress any urges.
Yeah.
He's done. He's fully, like, he hasn't fully gotten as bad as he's gonna get, but he's really gonna ramp up from here. It's gonna be more. It's gonna be more frequent. And we're just going to keep going because we have about 4 more to talk about.
Great.
He began to actively hunt for victims. So the last 2 he said were like happy accidents for him.
Right.
But now he's like, okay, I want to start doing this.
Yeah.
And like he's creating an MO. He's doing all of those things. His next victim is in January of 1988. And his name is James Doxtator.
Okay.
He's 14 years old.
Oh.
He's a Native American male prostitute.
Okay.
Which is like so sad.
Yeah, that is sad.
So sad.
14.
Yeah. Jeffrey approached him with the promise of $50 in exchange for him to take some nude photos of him. Kid agrees. And Jeffrey brings James to the basement of his grandmother's house. There he raped, drugged him with sleeping pills, and strangled the boy. He kept the body in the basement for a week before dismembering and disposing of it as he had done with the previous body, so same way.
Right.
Cutting off pieces, he's
boiling it.
Taking the head, boiling it, doing the same thing with the skull, tried to bleach it, but it became too brittle and he disposed of it like about a month after the murder.
Okay.
The sleeping pills. So because he's working overnights at the chocolate factory, he goes to doctors and he gets prescribed sleeping pills to use to drug everyone.
Right.
Yeah. Jeffrey's next victim is just like not much after this. That other one with James. Jeffrey's next victim was 24-year-old bisexual man named Richard Guerrero. Guerrero was last seen on March 24th, 1988, leaving his family home and heading towards a friend's house. He never made it to his friend's house. According to the Doe Network, Guerrero was dedicated to his family and would run errands for his mother regularly. 4 months after his disappearance, his family hired a PI to investigate it. Jeffrey, but nothing ever came of it. They never knew anything. It was just a completely cold case. Jeffrey took responsibility for his murder, and he says that he approached him with the promise of $50 in exchange for nude photos.
Okay.
Guerrero says, yeah, cool, sounds good.
Yeah.
And then Jeffrey brings him back to his grandmother's house, to the cellar basement area, and follows his usual MO, which was really being solidified as his MO: raping, drugging, strangling.
Yeah.
It's a 3.
Yeah.
Jeffrey disposed of the body by dismembering and disposing of it as he had the previous victims. With Guerrero, he does not keep any of the body parts. So he doesn't keep the skull.
Okay.
He gets rid of Guerrero completely. In April of 1988, so we're every month of 1988 so far, these are just people he's murdering. Who knows how many people he's not murdering.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you about one person that he did not murder but took back to the house right now. So in April, Jeffrey came across came across Ronald Flowers outside of a club in Milwaukee. He offered to help him by jumping his car battery, but said they would have to go back to his grandmother's house to get his car. So he's like, I didn't drive, but I can jump the battery for you. We just got to take this cab X amount of miles away.
Okay.
And to me, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
But Flowers agrees, and they take a cab.
Okay.
Flowers says that Jeffrey's demeanor changed drastically during the cab ride. So he's like, sort of like nervous and starts complaining a bunch about like his family and his job and like his life and everything.
Yeah.
And Ronald's like, I just want to jump my car and get home.
Right.
Because while he was leaving a bar, he had only had one drink. So he's like not drunk.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
Unless it's Mel. And you get drunk after one drink.
After one drink.
And probably me, I just don't drink. So Flowers says that he gets really suspicious when he arrives at Jeffrey's grandmother's house because there's no vehicle. Because,
yeah.
Shocker, Jeffrey Dahmer does not have a vehicle during this time. And so they go inside Jeffrey's grandmother's house, and she woke up from the noise of them coming in and called downstairs saying, "Is that you, Jeff?"
Yeah.
And Jeffrey said that he was just going to make a cup of coffee. So that was his response.
Okay.
So he's like regularly just bringing all kinds of men back to her house in the middle of the night. Which is like, that'd be so hard to live with.
Yeah. I don't know.
Flowers said that Dahmer was visibly nervous while making the coffee. So that's what he would do to like drug people. He would say he was going to make them coffee, but he would put the sleeping pills in the coffee.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's crazy to see like someone who survived it, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's great. Like, I wonder like why he did.
Yeah.
Flowers woke up 2 days later in the hospital with no memory of the time that he was blacked out. So he drinks the coffee.
So he drank the coffee and that was it. And then
it.
he woke up in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
He did notice that he had bruises and his underwear were inside out.
Okay.
Also noticed that Jeffrey had stolen $200 and some jewelry from him. Flowers reported the encounter to the police and brought them to Jeffrey's grandmother's house. So he was like...
Wow.
Able to remember, because again, he was not drunk.
Right.
So he's able to remember exactly the house.
Yep.
Brings the police there. The police talk to Jeffrey. And he denies everything. And says that Flowers was so drunk the next morning that he had to walk him to the bus station. He had to help him walk to the bus station. Which is a story that Jeffrey's grandmother corroborated. She said, I saw them that night. Saw Jeffrey make a bed for him, and I saw them leave the next morning.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like, I wonder why, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe like the dosing was wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, that's weird.
It's strange, right?
It is weird. Something happened.
So a few months after this incident with Jeffrey, Flowers sees him at the same club where they first met.
Yeah.
And he had to be stopped from beating the shit out of him.
No kidding. Yeah.
Flowers also stopped someone else from going home with Dahmer that night.
Oh, good.
So he's like out hunting.
Yeah.
For lack of a better word.
Right.
And he's like, yo, don't do it, man.
That's good.
Don't do it. Which is like, good looking out.
Yeah.
Soon after this incident with Flowers, Dahmer's grandmother grows tired of him bringing home men late at night. And, like, all the strange smells coming from his room.
No. Yep, I think I'd be done with that, too.
Right. She asks him to move out, and so he gets an apartment. At this apartment, he lures? That word sounds so weird to say sometimes. He lures a 13-year-old Laotian immigrant named Somsak.
Okay.
Sorry, sir. I'm just doing it phonetically.
Yeah.
With the promise of $50 for photos in order to test out his new camera. So he doesn't ask him for nude photos, just like, hey, will you be my model?
Yeah.
Which is obviously a pattern
Yeah.
and what he uses. Somsack said that Jeffrey seemed like a quote-unquote nice guy, but once they got in the apartment, he got weirded out and, like, quickly changed his mind. So they get there, and Jeffrey gave him the usual drugged coffee.
Yeah.
But, like, it's a 13-year-old boy, and he's used to drugging adults.
Yeah.
So he gives him
Way too much. Yeah.
Which comes into play in, like, 1 second. Basically, he starts, like, molesting the kid, and he's like, you know, I want more than a picture, right? And, like, trying to pull out his penis and, like, unzip his pants. And then he gets weird, and he's like, I want to hear your stomach. I don't know. So he puts his head on the boy's stomach, and when he does that, the kid, like, grabs his backpack and runs out of the apartment to his house.
Good for him.
When he gets to his house, he passes out and is unable to be woken up.
Yeah.
Because of
all the drugs.
Exactly. So his parents take him over to the hospital, where it's determined that he's overdosed.
Wow.
And that night, the boy tells the police about his encounter with Dahmer and brings them back to Dahmer's apartment.
Okay.
So this is the first time he's, like, arrested for anything more than indecent exposure.
Okay.
He gets arrested. They see that he's at work, so the police go and they arrest him at his job.
Wow.
At the Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, where he works as a chocolate mixer overnights. Every night but Saturday.
Every night but Saturday.
He keeps his job. Mel.
Seriously?
Yes.
They arrest him and he keeps his job?
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's crazy. For this crime, Jeffrey gets sentenced to 1 year in prison and 5 years of probation. He also has to register as, like, a sex offender.
Yeah.
This was served through the prisons, like Department of Corrections or whatever, their work release program, meaning that Dahmer would work at the chocolate factory at night and then spend the days in jail.
Okay.
Yeah. But while he's awaiting sentencing, he went back to living at his grandmother's house, so he couldn't stay in his apartment. He had to move back with his grandma.
Poor grandma.
And he meets his 5th victim while he's waiting to be sentenced.
Of course.
For this other crime. It's like, wow. His 5th victim is 24-year-old Anthony Sears. Dahmer met Sears, who is described as being friendly and outgoing, at a bar called La Cage in Milwaukee. Dahmer and Sears got a ride to his grandmother's house from one of Sears' friends, who was also at the bar that night. Sears' friends reported him missing, but no progress was ever made on the case. So, like, after he doesn't call his friend for a ride home or show back up to, like, feed his animals, they report him.
Yeah.
Yeah. At Jeffrey's grandmother's house, he follows, again, the typical MO with Sears. Body's dismembered, disposed of, he's drugged, raped.
Right.
Everything, pictures, like a ton of pictures, Polaroids of the nude, like, dead body.
So gross.
Yeah. And Dahmer keeps Sears' skull. It's actually found when he's arrested years later, like, painted in his apartment. So he keeps it for...
Kept it.
Yeah. So he's starting to, like, collect more trophies.
Right.
At this time, too.
Okay.
This is, like, the first one.
Yeah.
The next murder, and the final one that we'll talk about today, because it's, like, a lot.
Yeah. It's been a lot.
It's just, like, bombarding you. Like, and then he did this terrible thing and this other terrible thing, and we still have 11 more to go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's insane.
A lot. So this one takes place in May of 1990. Raymond Smith, age 32, was a male prostitute and was last seen leaving a club with Jeffrey. After he offered him, can you guess how much money?
$50?
You got it.
Yeah.
$50 for sex. Dahmer moved into his own apartment. So there's, like, a little bit of time between the last one, the Anthony Sears, and this guy, because he's serving, like, his work release stuff.
Yeah.
So he can't do anything, but he does get out 2 months early. So He only ends up serving 10 months of the 12-month sentence on work release, but then is on probation.
Yeah.
And he almost immediately, like, gets out
Right.
and begins the same stuff over again.
Right.
So he does have his own apartment. His grandma's like, yo, no way. You're not coming back here.
Done.
Like, I'm done with you. The smells, the everything. You gotta go, man. Love ya. Maybe. I'm not sure. Bye. Dahmer, he does the same thing. He drugs and strangles Smith. Then he takes photos of the body in suggestive positions and dismembers it in his bathroom and boiled all the remains, but his head in acid. So he keeps the skull.
Wow.
It was placed in a cabinet with Sears skull. So now he's creating a shrine.
A shrine of skulls.
His neighbors complained of a foul smell, which Jeffrey said was due to spoiled meat from a broken fridge.
Oh. Right.
And it's the smell, like this.
The death smell is like no
We've
other.
talked about it a few times. Like, the smell, it's like, do you think I'm stupid?
Yeah.
Like, there's a difference between rotten chicken and, like, decomposing flesh.
Yeah. It's a bad smell.
Just imagine being his neighbor.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely
I refuse.
not.
I will not imagine that. Why would you even ask that?
No.
So, yeah, so that's where I'm going to stop for tonight.
All right. Yeah, I think we've had enough.
You're like, I'm done. I've had enough. I'll try to get the rest of them in the next one. Yeah, so that's Jeffrey Dahmer in his early life and his first few murders.
Cool. Well, I can't wait until next week.
You look not excited.
11 more, though.
It's crazy.
And I keep forgetting he was, like, in the 90s. Like, that's not...
The late 80s.
The late 80s, 90s. Like, that's not that long ago. I mean, it is now, but... think about it. It's not that long ago. The 90s.
I keep thinking, like, oh, the 90s. It was only 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And then I remember I was born in 1990.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be 32.
Yeah.
So.
But still, 30 years ago wasn't, it wasn't in the 60s, 70s like all the other serial killers. He was in the 90s.
Are you trying
he went into the 90s.
Are you trying to tell me that we've had a recent serial killer? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what you're doing. 30 years counts as recent.
30 years is recent, yes.
No. I hope that there's no one like him left on Earth because, like, honestly, the next ones just get worse. Like, I'm
sure.
Full disclosure. I know you've listened, but, like, I'm full disclosuring everyone. Like, he's into some weird shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's so sad. I mean, it's sad, but at least, I'm not going to say at least it's good or whatever, but, like, he does take credit. You know, like, once he gets caught, he's like, I did this murder.
Right.
And, I wanted to mention one other thing. So while he's stationed, once he gets caught, other places he's been are like, yo, are you also the serial killer that was in this area during that same time? So Germany had a serial killer at the same time that Dahmer was there.
Wow.
But they determined that it wasn't him because all of the victims were female and he was a gay man. Like, he had no interest in women whatsoever.
Yeah.
So.
Wow.
But yeah, like, other places with cold cases are like, hey.
Yeah.
Is that him? Even, I was telling you about this a little bit earlier, like, off the recording, but just last month in Los Angeles, there's, like, a cold case that they're trying to solve, and they want to know where Jeffrey Dahmer was.
Yeah,
like, a certain weekend of, like, 1988 or something.
Wow.
Because there's someone in LA who's murdered the exact same MO as Dahmer.
Yeah. And
they think that it's him. But then it can't be the same MO because his MO is that he like destroys the body in acid and stuff. So there's no body for them to like find.
Oh, and they have a body?
I'll have to reread it and like let you know next week because I can't remember. But I think he was like maybe last seen at like a gay bar leaving with someone who looked like Dahmer or something. I'll have to reread it and like clarify. But it's just interesting, like even to this very day, like last month, 2 months ago. Wow. It's like maybe it was Jeffrey who did this one. Does anyone know where he was this one weekend?
That's insane.
And I think in this article they said like we can account for the weekend before and the weekend after, but not the weekend of.
Oh.
So,
yeah.
And his mom lived in Fresno at the time. So, he claims that he was never in the area.
Yeah.
And was not, but
who knows?
So, I'm going to reread that article so I can come with a fresh mind that didn't just spend 52 minutes talking about Jeffrey Dahmer. So,
all right. That was a good one.
To be continued.
To be continued, yes. Yeah, for sure.
Just a little quick side that I want to mention. We're getting so many wonderful reviews, and we so appreciate it on Apple Podcasts. Please keep it up. Yes. We love them. I love reading them. I love looking at them.
Yes, they're fun.
We would love to hear from more people on any social media, Instagram, Twitter,
Facebook.
Literally anywhere. You can email me. You can carrier pigeon me a letter, and I'd love to read it. I am maybe creating a TikTok where we'll talk about some things. I signed up, but am too afraid to make a video, so we'll get there.
We'll get there.
But
I'm too old to make a video.
You're never too old to make videos.
Never too old for
You're
TikTok.
never too old for anything. No, I'm just loving all the feedback. Yeah. So please keep it up.
It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
This is really fun.
It's so fun. Yeah. And it's so fun to have fun and then have people say like, wow, we like your fun.
Yeah.
So, and any sort of critiques or anything you want us to change up, like anything.
Yeah.
I want to hear about it.
Let us know.
And you can let us know at themurdermamas@gmail.com.
Yes.
And then the Murder Mamas at every social.
Yeah.
There could ever be.
There could ever be.
Except for maybe TikTok.
Yeah.
Until next time.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.